What happens when two of the biggest names in pop music just stop singing, look directly into the camera, and demand to know why you are even watching them? Welcome to the Deep Dive.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Today, we are taking apart this brief but honestly incredibly intense transcript from the official music video for Bring Your Love, featuring Madonna and Sabrina Carpenter.
Yeah, it's a really unique piece of media.
It really is. It's this short stream of consciousness exchange that completely dismantles the fourth wall. I mean, they just tear it down.
Oh, totally. It acts as this direct challenge to the audience because, normally we analyze lyrics to understand an artist's emotional state regarding like a romance or some personal struggle.
Right, the usual pop stuff.
Exactly. But the text we are looking at today operates on a completely different frequency. We are going to examine the mechanics of autonomy. We have these two women representing two completely different eras of hypervisibility, basically outlining a blueprint for reclaiming their narrative.
Reclaiming it from an industry that is, let's be honest, fundamentally designed to consume them.
Precisely.
So the mission today for you listening is to figure out exactly how this specific set of lyrics maps out that blueprint. Because the moment you engage with this text, it forces a very uncomfortable confrontation.
It really does not hold back.
It doesn't. The opening thought is just this direct interrogation. They say, what are you doing here? Is it for you? Is it for them? You don't even get to settle in and enjoy the spectacle before you are being asked to justify your presence. Okay, let's unpack this. It feels a bit like arriving at a high-stakes event, right? You walk up to the velvet rope, ready for a good time, and immediately you're being interrogated by the bouncer about your true intentions. Like, are you actually here for your own fulfillment, or are you just performing for the crowd outside?
That is a perfect analogy. What's fascinating here is how it immediately inverts the traditional dynamic between the performer and the observer. In the standard pop culture contract, the artist exists in the light to be judged, and the audience, sits safely in the dark doing the judging.
Safe and comfortable.
Safe and comfortable. But by asking, is it for you? Is for them? The spotlight is aggressively swung around and pointed right at you, the viewer.
Wow, yeah.
It forces you to question the actual mechanics of modern consumption. It's asking, are you engaging with this art because it genuinely fulfills a personal need?
Or are you consuming it because, I don't know, the algorithm told you to?
Exactly. The algorithm, the culture, or your social circle dictated that you just need to be aware of it to stay relevant. It's calling out the performative nature of being a fan today.
I see the power in swinging that spotlight around. I really do. But I have to push back a little on the inherent contradiction here. Here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay, let's hear it.
If you release a highly anticipated, big-budget music video, you are essentially buying a billboard.
Right.
You are actively courting the public's gaze.
That's true.
So it feels a bit like throwing a massive public party, sending out invites to millions of people, and then standing at the front door demanding to know why people showed up. I mean, you can't put a product on the market and then act entirely hostile when the market actually looks at it.
I get that. But I'd argue that contradiction is exactly what drives the tension in modern celebrity.
How so?
Well, you are right that releasing a video is an invitation. But the text is arguing that the invitation comes with these unwritten terms and conditions that the audience constantly violates.
Oh, I see.
It isn't a rejection of the gaze itself. It's a rejection of the entitlement that accompanies that gaze.
That makes a lot of sense.
In the digital age, access creates this illusion of ownership. The audience assumes that because they stream the song or, watch the video, they have somehow purchased a controlling stake in the artist's identity.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense when you look at how the text immediately tries to revoke that assumed ownership. Because right after questioning our motives, the transcript moves into this barrage of defensive boundaries.
It's a very sharp pivot.
Very sharp. They say, don't comment on my feel, don't want your judgment or your expectations. And then there's this line that just stopped me in my tracks. They say, your vision is a killer. Don't try to show me. Don't try to distract me.
Oh, your vision is a killer is arguably the thesis statement of this entire collaboration.
It is so intense.
It really is. It explores a concept kind of similar to the panopticon.
Remind us what that is.
It's the idea that being constantly observed inherently alters your behavior. When they call the audience's vision a killer, they are pointing out how external expectations can literally suffocate internal creativity.
Because the public doesn't just look at you, they enforce a specific version of you.
Exactly.
If you step outside the lines they've drawn, they absolutely revolt. I think about how an audience demands an artist to be relatable, but simultaneously, larger than life.
Right, the impossible double standard.
It is. They demand you to evolve and grow, but the second you abandon the sound or the aesthetic that made you famous, you are accused of betraying your roots. It's this psychological trap where the audience's vision of who you are supposed to be ends up murdering the person you actually are.
And the mechanism of that trap is incredibly efficient. I mean, the industry relies on recognizable branding.
Of course.
The audience's vision demands a static caricature because caricatures are easy to digest. And more importantly, they're easy to monetize.
Right.
So when Madonna or Sabrina explicitly say, "Don't comment on my feel," they are flat out refusing to step into that static box. They are outlining the psychological toll of that paradox, establishing that they will perform, they will create, but they absolutely will not allow the public's perception to dictate their reality.
It is a massive reclamation of space, but putting up a shield isn't really enough to survive in the entertainment industry, is it?
No, not at all.
A boundary only works if you have the leverage to enforce it. And that is where the tone of this transcript shifts from, defensive to highly offensive. We get this rapid sequence. They say, "I did it all for you. Don't rely on my discretion. I have a confession. I know where which means bodies are buried."
They move directly from setting rules to exposing the underlying power structure.
"I know where the bodies are buried" is such a loaded, dangerous phrase. It just strips away all the glamorous illusions of the music industry.
It's a threat.
It is. It reminds me of a massive corporate merger. Like, imagine two companies smiling for the press, talking about synergy. Everything looks pristine on the surface.
Right, the usual PR spin.
Exactly. But behind closed doors, in the middle of a tense negotiation, one side just slides a manila folder across the mahogany table and casually mentions they possess the unredacted financial audit.
Oh, wow.
They know about the hidden accounts. They know about the suppressed liabilities. In one sentence, the entire power dynamic flips. It's not a plea for respect anymore, it's a threat.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, that corporate analogy is highly accurate. Because the music industry is, at its core, a massive corporate structure that runs on the currency of silence.
And NDAs and all that.
Exactly. It relies heavily on non-disclosure agreements, tightly controlled public relations narratives, and crisis management teams. All to keep the messy, often exploitative reality hidden behind a polished facade.
Yeah.
So when artists at this level say, "Don't rely on my discretion," they are literally threatening the economic stability of the machine that monetizes them.
Which gives a whole new meaning to the line right before it, right? "I did it all for you."
Yes.
It suggests that their past compliance wasn't weakness at all. They played the game, they hit their marks, they smiled for the cameras, and by doing so, they gained access to the inner workings of the machine.
They turned their compliance into reconnaissance. The industry often treats young artists as disposable assets. You are expected to make sacrifices, give up your autonomy, and produce hits until you burn out or age out.
Just chew them up and spit them out.
Exactly. But if you survive that initial extraction phase, you accumulate institutional knowledge. They know how the press cycles are manipulated, they know who protects who, and they know the exact cost of the illusions they were forced to sell.
Wow.
So by pairing the word confession with this institutional knowledge, they are weaponizing their own survival. They are reminding the gatekeepers that the artists hold the actual keys to the vault.
This brings up a really crucial dynamic about the nature of resilience in this environment. Because the text doesn't just stop at having leverage, it leans heavily into the state of mind required to actually wield that leverage.
The psychology of it.
Right. We hit this incredibly intense, repetitive block in the transcript. It goes, he, because you never break me, because you can't take me down. Don't want to compromise. I made the sacrifice. I'll always be the bright confession.
Yeah.
Heat. So what does this all mean?
Well, the repetition serves a very specific structural purpose here.
I read that repetition as an auditory representation of the environment they operate in. Like, the heat is the constant crushing friction of modern fame. It's the glare of a million smartphone cameras, the bad faith interpretations on social media, the paparazzi, just the sheer exhaustion of having your every move commodified. But what strikes me is that they aren't complaining about it.
Not at all.
They are stating it as a fact of their existence and then immediately following it up with, "'cause you never break me."
It separates active resilience from passive endurance.
Tell me more about that.
Passive endurance is simply surviving a hostile environment and hoping it gets better. Active resilience, which is what they are demonstrating here, is absorbing the hostility and using it as armor.
Oh, that's good. Using it as armor.
When they say "you can't take me down," They are outlining the ultimate advantage of having already been through the worst the public and the press can offer.
Right, because if they've already survived the scandals, the backlash, the shifting trends, and just the intense scrutiny, the threat level essentially drops to zero.
Exactly.
You can't cancel someone who has already factored public outrage into their operating budget.
Precisely. And that leads directly to the phrase, don't want to compromise, I made the sacrifice. In the context of pop culture, compromise usually means watering down your message.
Making it palatable.
Yeah, softening your image to appease a wider demographic, or biting your tongue to avoid offending a corporate sponsor. By putting the sacrifice in the past tense, they are stating that the toll for their autonomy has already been paid in full.
It's paid off.
They no longer owe the industry a sanitized version of themselves. When an artist no longer fears the loss of access or public approval, they become structurally unmanageable to the people who usually pull the strings.
They become untouchable.
Completely.
And the entire text builds to the result of becoming untouchable.
Right.
We move from interrogating the audience to rejecting the collective vision to wielding industry secrets to walking through the heat without compromising.
It's quite a journey.
It is. And all of this groundwork is laid to facilitate one specific event. The transcript ends with these two lines.
Sabrina, I got something I want to talk about. Followed by Madonna, I got something I want to talk about. It is a remarkable structural choice to end on a mirrored exchange like that.
I absolutely love it because it totally subverts what you expect from this kind of pairing.
How so?
Usually when a pop icon with decades of experience collaborates with a currently dominating younger star, the industry immediately forces them into a specific narrative box.
Right, the passing of the torch.
Exactly. It's framed as a passing of the torch or a mother-daughter dynamic or like a mentor bestowing wisdom upon a protege. There is always an implicit hierarchy. But these final lines are completely identical.
This raises an important question about who is actually leading this conversation. Because by assigning the exact same declarative sentence to both women, the text actively flattens that expected hierarchy.
It levels the playing field.
It refuses to participate in the narrative that pits women across different generations against each other, or forces one to be subordinate to the other.
Right. They don't need to explain the mechanics of the industry to one another. Madonna doesn't need to explain the suffocating nature of the killer vision, and Sabrina doesn't need to explain the exhaustion of the heat.
They share a vocabulary of survival. And because they share that vocabulary, they can bypass the usual performative mentorship. They are meeting at a summit of equals.
A summit of equals. I love that phrasing.
It is an acknowledgement that while the aesthetic of pop music changes drastically from decade to decade, the machinery that grinds down the artists remains exactly the same. They have both navigated the panopticon, they have both gathered leverage, and they have both refused to break.
That really reframes the entire transcript for me. It's almost as if the first 4 sections of this text, the boundaries, the threats, the refusal to compromise, were simply them clearing the room.
Yeah, sweeping out the noise.
They had to kick the audience out, silence the critics, and neutralize the industry executives just so they could finally hear each other speak.
The text really serves as a masterclass in the mechanics of reclaiming agency. It challenges you, the listener, to analyze the power dynamics in your own life.
Which is something we all deal with.
We all operate in environments with unwritten rules and external pressures. The text forces you to ask where you are allowing someone else's killer vision to dictate your choices.
Yeah.
It highlights that true autonomy often requires the willingness to endure the heat, the courage to hold your ground, and the understanding that your discretion is a currency you do not have to give away for free.
It is such a shrewd piece of commentary dressed up as a pop spectacle. The industry constantly tries to sell us the magic show, but today we got to see 2 of the most successful magicians drop the illusion, point out the trapdoors, and show us exactly how the trick is rigged.
It's been a fascinating breakdown.
It really has. But before we wrap up today's deep dive, I want to leave you with one lingering detail to mull over.
Let's hear it.
We've seen the sheer amount of effort it took to secure this autonomy. We know they've survived the heat, we know they refuse to compromise, and we know they hold the keys to where the bodies are buried. They have successfully forced the industry out of the room and secured a meeting of absolute equals. So what exactly are they going to talk about when the cameras finally stop rolling?